5:30, I'll call the Mandan Park District Board meeting for October 14th, 2024 to order. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None.
None. I will open up for public communication from visitors. We have one visitor. You want to address an agenda item perhaps, but nothing for public communication. Second call. Okay, closing public communication. Seeking review and approval of September 9th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Any comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the September 9th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Freilich and a second from Commissioner Scott to approve the regular meeting minutes from 2024 September 9th. All those in favor state aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Meetings are approved. Minutes. Item number 1, consider for approval application for the Transportation Alternative Program Multipurpose Trail Grant for 2027 funding. Director Higlin.
Commissioners, before you is a request. We have each year we apply for grant funding periodically. This grant is, I have a projector here kind of showing the map. Basically, essentially on Collins Avenue, heading north, as you can see in the red, heading north all the way through 38th Street northeast, I believe it is. It's a mill overlay project. We do have some water damage areas in the highlighted green area. As you can kind of see in that area where we have some drainage issues, there was some water related issues that's happened as a development has taken place over by Mandan Middle School that's kind of caused the erosion of that trail. So we worked with more engineering for solutions, and then at the same time the city of Mandan was applying from the interstate south to Eagles Park to help prevent. Right now if you walk that trail, it's pretty level with the road, so there's no delineation separation between the road and the trail. So they wanted to add that component in there, so we said instead of applying for two grants competing against each other, let's apply together. So we combined our project. Our project will be 80% local share, 20% local share will be the city of Mandan. So what we're looking for your approval tonight is just to apply for the RTP grant, or TAP grant, excuse me. RTP is the other grant, Transportation Alternative Grant, and to hire more engineering for the mill overlay multipurpose trail from Collins Red Trail intersections to North 38th Street. And again, this is funding for 2027 project.
Cole, are we going to, and then that where there's some more water damage, we'll fix that up then too, right?
Yep, that's all part of the design. Could be a bridge, could be a culvert extension. We're going to bid it each way, but right now for the grant application, if funded, then we'll determine what our funding amount would be at that time, and then we can determine if we can move forward with which option.
Any other discussion from the board? What are your wishes?
I move to approve the Moore Engineering to apply for the Transportation Alternative Grant for a mill overlay for the multipurpose trail for Collins Old Red Trail intersection north to 38th Street.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Mutter and a second from Commissioner Freilich to approve the application for the Transportation Alternative Program Trail Grant. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
And then just Vice President Melhoff and Commissioners, just as an FYI, if we were to get funded, we'll find out, I believe it's in 26. We'll find out when we get the funding awarding, or maybe it's in the fall of 25, bid in 26. I get my confusion with the two different grants. But at that time, then we will make the motion to accept the grant, and then that local share, typically when we do trails, is always special assessed back to the Park District for our share. So that's how that funding would come forward with that.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, update on Mandan Municipal Golf Course levy discussions.
So as you know, we have a potential project taking place over at Mandan Municipal. We've had multiple meetings with Lower Hart. Not a whole lot has transpired since the last board meeting. We have not got any conceptual drawings yet from the architect that we hired for the design. We hope to get that started sometime in this 2 to 4 week period. He knows that he has to have things done by the end of the year. He's just kind of tied up with other projects he's trying to finish at this time. In your packet, there's a couple things. One, obviously, is a letter to the citizens. Obviously, we have our database for emails to our golf membership. We are starting to hear a little bit of the rumblings and as far as discussions related to this project and how it impacts the golf course. We've talked with Lower Hart and HDR. Based on what we have in place today, no construction would take place in 2025. So we've already got that kind of mandated that they can't start construction until 2026, which now gives us time to figure out what's the best option for the Park District, for the citizens, and obviously Lower Hart Water Resource District. In your packet, though, was kind of a summary that Garrett and Kelly, and along with myself, adding comments in that we're going to try to put out to social media and email it to everybody. We think it's important for everybody to understand what's going on and who's driving the project and how we as the Park District are impacted. Obviously, the project's going to impact us directly. Indirectly, it's going to be all the citizens with the proposed citywide assessment. Again, that Lower Hart is driving that the city's doing on their behalf, but we just happen to be having the property adjacent to it. So I'm not going to go through the three different options. We're well aware of those. We're massaging through it. One of the comments that came out of the meeting was those pressure relief valves is, they had the number, I'm going to use it saying it's overinflated with a $12 million number because $7.5 million of that is long-term maintenance over 50 years. So it's $150,000 over 50 years, or essentially $1 million. If we went that option, which they're researching, that would not impact the golf course near to the level it would be if you're building the berm and having that 90,000 cubic yards of dirt being hauled in. So they are researching that. They're trying to figure out what is that long-term maintenance, what is the obligations to Lower Hart, what do they have to do, and then we want to see what it's going to look like. Is it something that sticks out of the ground that's going to be an eyesore on the golf course side, or is it something that can be buried below ground and then maybe have some type of coverage that doesn't necessarily look accessible to citizens that are out there playing and messing around with it? So we don't know much more than what I'm explaining here today. Our next board meeting, I believe, is next Tuesday, Lower Hart, that we'll attend to do and see kind of what discussions they have. At the last meeting I attended, there were board members that weren't present at previous meetings, but at our last Lower Hart Water Resource Board, there was 3 other individuals that were able to zoom in, and they had no issues about trying to repurpose the golf course for the dollars that we've been mentioning before in that $3.5 million range if we can use the dirt on site. Just made sense to be a good project and a good steward to the citizens and not having to pay money for something that you don't see a benefit in. So not a whole lot there. Down in Atlanta, Orlando's next year for our national NRPA conference, we had just some preliminary discussion about do we need to have retained somebody on the Park District's behalf that is very well versed and educated in these floodplain projects and decisions and options. And so Buren Associates is who did all of our design related to the our water intake. He's done a lot of flood protection stuff out east. We realize that whatever project moves forward with Lower Hart, that intake has to be replaced. So we can't have 9 feet of dirt on top of our intake because now it's going to be 12 feet deep. We ever have to replace it or repair it. So we're going to have to move the intake, which is part of our design that's already been completed. So those costs for the design of that new intake that we propose is already permitted to go to Mandan Municipal and the softball fields. We wouldn't add the softball fields in at this time. We would only add it to the golf course, and then we can decide later if we want to do that additional cost for that water intake. So I think it would be important to have Steve Buren, maybe be part of our Teams calls, Zoom calls, a reference for us to be able to call and say, hey, here's what's going on, here's the next steps. Can you give us any advice or directions on what we should do to make sure we're protecting the Park District? We do have funds set aside in our budget each year in a contingency for engineering services, so I don't need any dollars at this time approved. I guess I just would like to know that if there's any concerns from the board, if we were to execute with his expertise on an hourly basis not to exceed $10,000, I don't think we'll be anywhere near that. It could be 5,000 the board's comfortable with, but more just, again, sit in the meetings, listen to some teams call, research some of our findings that we get from HDR. Not that we don't trust HDR and Lower Hart, but it's just nice to have somebody in our corners representing the Park District in a way that I think is in our best interest. And I'll pause for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Director Higlin?
Well, I've been a part, and so has Miles, been a part of meetings. I was there online, and Miles was there in person, but I always flash back to that number for the wells. You know, it's like if it's truly 4.6 to install them, there's really no way of knowing how much that number is going to fluctuate over the next 50 years. I mean, in the next 20 years, something else could happen where, they need to be updated or whatever. I mean, with life right now, it's hard enough just to plan for 2 to 5 years down the road, let alone what costs are going to be like in 50 years, when none of us will even be around anymore, probably. Sorry, Dwayne, but it's just so difficult to think about numbers that are 50 years out there. But yet that 4.6 is a number that is livable with me, really, if it's going to cause less destruction to the golf course and keep a 100-year-old golf course kind of intact the way it is right now and that sort of thing. So I would, obviously there are only two options in my mind, the berm and then the wells, but I guess we'll see where the next couple of meetings go, but there was a wide variety of topics that were talked about and a lot of discussion, and not all favorable and not all agreeable, but I think if we keep meeting and visiting, I don't like going to meetings where everybody agrees on everything right away anyhow. I think it's good to have discussion so that we make sure that we're making the right decisions at the right time.
Cole, I think you should just it's nice to have a second ear advising you on this. So I know we don't have to make a motion, but I'm all for having that extra ear for you. So.
And then just the last comment would be, again, just the informational letter. Is that something that this board supports? Because as soon as that letter goes on social media and gets emailed to all of our golf members, it's going to obviously stir additional discussions. And so what's in front of you is what we're going to present, obviously in a more cleaned up version, colors and things of that nature too, but it's just a rough draft for now. So if you have comments or ideas, we're not going to send it out tomorrow. We're going to work on it for the rest of the week and then maybe send it out at the end of the week for the weekend and then kind of address it on Monday.
Yep.
I'm in favor of sending something out because I think all of us want to be transparent with what's going on, and the more input that we can get from other people, I think, is a positive.
Also, sooner the better, personally.
Yeah, because it's already leaking out there, and so I've gotten some calls already, and people at work have asked about it, and I just go, well, until something is finalized, we don't really want to jump the gun, but I understand because you play that course a lot that you're concerned about it, and so I think getting information out there would be good.
Yeah, and to add to that, we're on this board to maintain and grow the parks and recreation for the residents of Mandan. And this project will affect the entire city of Mandan, so we want to be very transparent, as Commissioner Scott said, that we're taking all that into account as we're giving recommendations and agreeing to things that are going to affect our golf course. So no motions required there. We're moving on to item number 3, construction updates.
So we had a great day last Friday morning when we pushed in the first phase of the boat ramp. It was I'm sure you saw it on social media and I emailed it out, but kind of a nice idea to see that getting pushed in and knowing that we're going to have a boat ramp hopefully here by the end of the month. There's really no reason we shouldn't be able to have that ramp poured all the way to the top. They're starting this week with the parking lot. As you've been down there, you see the stone. They're going to work their way on I guess it would be the north side of the parking lot, work their way to the middle, and then work their way to the boat ramp, and then leave a drive lane from the entrance to the actual boat ramp. That'll be the last thing to get completed, and then work their way out. But they're doing a great job, Prairie View, along with A2S. We had Northern Improvement come in with those dozers, and 3 dozers come in and push it in. They wanted to get somebody with a little bit of experience and running those dozers on a huge 8-inch thick, 36-foot wide concrete ramp, so we wanted to make sure it didn't crack. And the good news is it did not. And so the next step will be they'll put the rebar in there to connect with the next one. They're going to form that out, sounds like tomorrow. Get it formed and ready to go, and probably do a pour by the end of the week. It has to cure for 7 days again. There's no more pushing into the river. Now it's just pushing everything to the top of the parking lot. So boat ramp is going well. MDU, we just signed the easement for their access. They're going to bore underneath the interstate and then tie into the parking lot. The overhead lines that are there today are used for Heskett, and so they'd like to bring a different line in and then connectivity with the residents to the north. So our project's bringing that in, and then we'll have the lights in. Really no more really to add with that boat ramp. It's going pretty smooth. Weather's helped out a lot, and the river levels being low, it allowed us to push it in sooner than we thought. So any questions for me on the boat ramp? Okay, I'll just jump right into youth baseball complex. I was down there today. Diamond 10 is that southeast field, the former JV field that we switched around. That one hopefully will have turf going in by the end of the week. It's en route on a truck, hopefully here tomorrow. We'll start seeing that going up. You're seeing a lot of the fencing already in place. Diamond 9 is that northeast one, which will now be the new JV field. The turf is probably going to be 2 to 4 weeks out. Just not at that stage yet right now. Fencing's going up, the backstops of the masonry, so all the backstops in that field will have the masonry block look. The backstop has got masonry. Grandstands and the press box are all installed. It's going quick. We're just kind of needing to get a little bit moving a little bit faster on that field in regards to the synthetic turf. The concern we have in the next 2 to 4 weeks will be the glue. Obviously, you have seams and the overnight temperatures. We had that same issue with Memorial Ballpark. So we had to push the high school to have their first 6 weeks of games potentially on the road so that we could get adequate weather. I don't think we're at that stage to make that decision at this point, but Diamond 10 will be done this year. Diamond 9, we're going to push hard for it. So overall, it's been good. And the Mandan Baseball Club just got their first pay request, again, 100% paid by the Mandan Baseball Club. It was over $800,000 this month, so they're transferring that over by the end of the week. And that's all I have to report on those two projects.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on those projects? Hearing none, move on to item number 4, approval of monthly bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, what are the board's wishes?
I'll make the motion to approve of the monthly bills.
I would second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Freilich and a second from Commissioner Scott to approve payment of the monthly bills. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Future meeting dates for Park Board Commissioners. October 21st, we have a golf portfolio meeting at 1 o'clock at Prairie West. Rick, you gonna be there? October 23rd, we have 2 meetings, Park Operations Portfolio at 7:30 a.m. at the new Park Shop, and a Community Engagement Portfolio meeting at 9:30 a.m. at the Park Admin Office. On October 24th, a Facilities Portfolio meeting at 8 a.m. at the Park Admin Office. On Halloween, there's a 3 p.m. Admin Portfolio meeting at the Admin Office, and our next scheduled Park Board meeting is November 11th at City Hall. Commissioner reports. Anything more additional? Arlen? Mr. Mutter?
I just want to remind people that we've got an e-newsletter and everybody can sign up for. So please sign up for the newsletter. I'd like to see it at 2,000 members. So sign that up.
Commissioner Freilich?
Got nothing.
Commissioner Scott?
Just a reminder that Mandan Municipal final day of golf is this coming Sunday. So if you want to play, get out there and enjoy the course. Still in great shape.
My report is, I guess, Director Higlin and I and President Meshke spent much of last week down in Atlanta at the National Recreational and Parks Association National Annual Conference, and it was a really good conference. The exhibit hall was huge. Playgrounds, pump tracks, frisbee golf, pickleball, tennis. There's about everything there, and I really enjoyed it and got a lot of good networking experience. Williston and Dickinson and Valley City and West Fargo and Bismarck were all there. So got to do a lot of networking with other commissioners and staff from North Dakota. So if you get the chance, and it's in the budget, you should attend. So nothing else on the agenda. So with that, seeking a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any other discussion? All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.